I'm your host, Ivory Shields, on iHeartRadio's atltalks.com. And we are here with the lovely, the wonderful Miss Cortina Peters. And she is talking to us all about the importance of healing through trauma, and how when you don't deal with that, and when we allow in our communities, especially Black and brown people, when we allow this stigma to interfere with our responsibility to take care of our own mental health, how that bleeds over into everything else in our lives.
Yes.
It's going to impact our relationships. It's going to impact our work.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to impact our friendships. Every single aspect of our lives, it filters our lives, just kind of like how we use filters on the phone. You put a filter over a picture, over a video, that filter, that color covers every single thing in that frame or in that picture. And that is what unresolved trauma does for our lives. And before we went to break, you talked about a lot of people bringing up this COVID trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak a little bit about how the importance of dealing with the COVID trauma? Because as we said earlier at the top of the show, a lot of people are like, people are inspired this year, okay? Because everything is about perspective. So a lot of people had a great 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people had a not so great 2020. So people are energized, people are inspired, people are feeling compelled to do great things in 2020. And so can you just talk about the importance of making sure that we deal with the trauma that we experienced in 2020, and collectively and individually, and how that may impact our ability to carry out these major plans that we have for 2021?
So overall, if we just look at how this pandemic has unfolded, you would have to say some of what I see when I'm talking in other therapy circles, a lot of individuals who are dating are having an extremely hard time. Let's just say you're single, and you were dating. It's very hard to date during COVID. Yes, you can do online dating, but do you really trust the person to want to go out on a date with them with the restaurants being closed? And so it's very limited. Can't go to the movies anymore. Like, it's very limited on the things that you can do. Also, something else, people losing their jobs, their way of life. I think what's going to be a really big negative thing that comes out of this COVID pandemic is the socialization of children.
Yes, I worry about those children.
Yeah, because who are you talking to? And I saw it with my own daughter. She hadn't seen her friends in 9 months, and when you're in those prepubescent or adolescent type stages, socialization is how you help find who you are. And so if we are taking away things that children have went through school, I can't wait for graduation. There's no graduation. How that kind of dims the light a bit. And so I'm really worried about that. That's why I think when children now, they may have a little bit more of an attitude or acting out more, you have to really be able to talk to them to say, hey, what's happening? What are you feeling? What's going on? The same with adults. If you're interacting, or you have a friend or you have a colleague who is normally okay, but you've seen a shift since then, they might not really know how to deal with where we are. Yes, there's a lot of people who can work from home, but there's also a lot of people who can't.
Yeah.
So we have those frontline workers, and they have families too. So if I'm worried, even though I may be okay because I can work from home, I'm probably worried about my loved one who can't, and the possibility of them bringing something, COVID, into my home. So one of the things you have to do, I believe in taking time outs.
Okay.
Taking time outs to assess, how am I feeling today? What's going on? I think you should debrief every day with a 5-minute timeout. That 5-minute timeout gives you the ability to assess how your day went. when you are assessing, you are making sure that you're going through anything that caused you to be uncomfortable today or upset or flustered or irritated. So, and you process it, you deal with it so that you're not bringing that issue into tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we can spend a lot of time like, oh my God, I'm trapped in the house again. I'm trapped in the house again. Think about the things what do you feel is going to help you in this moment? Do you need a bubble bath? Do you need some incense? Do you need to meditate? Do you need to pray? Do you need to take a nap? And know that it's okay to do those things. A lot of times we like to stay on automatic go, 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 go. And because we don't want to seem like we're weak, we don't want to seem like, we don't have it all together. We want to keep the cape on with the S on our chest. But you have to be able to release, take your hands off it, take a step back, and take a break. We don't give ourselves grace. We don't give ourselves permission to be human. We feel like we can't cry. We feel like we can't get upset. We feel like we can't complain. But when you don't allow yourself to do those things, what you are doing is it's not going anywhere else. The energy is staying stuck inside of you because you're not releasing it.
Right.
And so when I say, you feel like you can't complain, not complaining and staying stuck there. But saying, okay, I just want to vent to the wall or to my journal or to whoever, and get it out so I'm not stuck. So it's not acting as a barrier.
Absolutely. And going back to this idea of us being of energy, because everybody can relate to energy. There are songs about it. I'm protecting my energy. When we don't allow ourselves that release, that becomes blocked negative energy that stays in your body. So finding a way to release that, whether it's like you said through a self-care activity, a bath, a walk in the park, a meditation, a boxing, screaming at the wall, whatever it is, finding some way to release that energy is very important.
Extremely, extremely. Because you carry it and your body keeps the score. Let's say you went through a situation and you were feeling something. You forgot about it, but guess what? Your body didn't forget about it.
Yeah, body keeps the score. Love
Yes.
that book. It's one of the best books
Yes.
ever. Yeah. Our bodies have imprints on them.
They do.
And it's super important to be mindful of that. And so what other tips can you give? You said take a 5-minute break.
Some grounding techniques as well. So grounding techniques help you stay in the here and now. It's also practicing mindfulness. Oftentimes we walk around with our minds full.
Yeah.
But I want you to learn how to practice mindfulness, being aware of your senses, being aware of what's happening in your body, being aware of the here and now, and what are you thinking? What's going through your mind? So one of the things that you can do is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So that's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can touch. Say those because if you're worried about something, when you're intentional about focusing on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, guess what? Nothing. You're not going to be able to think about anything else. So maybe when I was thinking about the situation, I was on a 5. Let me engage into this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, and maybe I can get down to a 4. So I can better handle the situation. And you also want to be mindful of your breathing, paying attention to your breaths, paying attention to being able to listen to your heartbeat, being able to feel your legs in the chair, your feet on the ground, really doing some of those deep-rooted grounding techniques. And something else to do is give out love and light. I want to send love and light to... This is, kind of like a script that you can use. You want to send love and light to someone you love. You want to first you want to start off sending love and light to yourself. You send love and light to yourself. You send love and light to someone you love. You send love and light to someone that might be a little bit difficult to send love and light to, because it's something about giving love and light to people that make us feel side eye. So you want to send love and light to them as well, because that helps build your compassion for others. You also want to give love and light to people in your social circles, and then you want to send love and light out, positive vibes into the atmosphere so everybody can feel it.
I love it. I love that you included that in that list, sending out love and light. And I love how you said sending it out to people you feel
Yes.
don't necessarily
Deserve it. Yes.
Mhm. Because that's powerful
It is.
to be able to do that. It takes a certain level of emotional maturation
Yes.
in order to do that.
It does. Because if you find it hard to do, they're still controlling you.
Ooh, yes.
Because
Absolutely.
if, I can still be upset with you, but I still don't, that doesn't mean I have ill intention towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you force yourself to be able to send love and light to someone who may not deserve it in your eyes, you are overcoming the emotional tie that person represents in your life. So send them love and light, and send it often. You would be amazed of how your heart shifts towards them. That doesn't mean that they're invited into your space. What that means is that you release the hold that they have over you emotionally so you can move forward.
I love it. I love it. And you explained it so eloquently. And this is the kind of work that people are not familiar with.
Right.
This kind of healing work that is so powerful and so helpful and so valuable, but it looks very foreign to most people.
It does.
It's like, what? Send love and light? What? What you mean?
They tried me. I'm not sending them love and light.
Right. But this is the work.
Yes.
This is the work that builds you and makes your foundation strong and sturdy and solid and full of compassion and full of love, ready to build upon.
Yes.
Whether it's whatever you're doing, you're building a relationship with someone, you're whether you are starting a business, whatever it is, because I have a theory. I'm gonna share this with you. You tell me what you think. Y'all tell me, family. Okay. And a lot of people probably gonna be mad at me, but that's okay, y'all. Call up and let me know what you think. 818-860-9223. I think a lot of times, as business owners, Black businesses, we go into business a lot of times carrying a lot of anger, a lot of pain, chips on our shoulders from being Black in this country and not having or being denied opportunities because of our skin color and things like that. And when we come into this space of entrepreneurship, and we have an issue with someone we're trying to collaborate with, or we encounter a customer who rubs us the wrong way, and we immediately just go off. And you give terrible customer service when we know the customer is supposed to be right.
Yes.
And I think that has a lot to do with this underlying bubbling anger and unresolved stuff, having a point to prove. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's very accurate. I think sometimes we have to understand when we're encountering people in our businesses, they may remind us of someone who hurt us or a situation that hurt us. And I like to call those trauma cues, because it cues up a past feeling that you had before, and so you really don't know you don't understand it because the person standing in front of you, although they remind you of the person or the situation you might be thinking at, it doesn't look like them. So that's why you just go off and act off of impulse instead of saying, okay, even at the end of the day, this is my business with my face, with my name. I need to make sure that I am delivering appropriate customer service because negative word travels faster than positive word. And so even as a therapist, I may not agree with everything that my patient says. However, I can't get mad at them for their experience. So that's like them saying, Cortina, I think you're a horrible therapist and you didn't help me at all. I can't get mad at them because that was their experience. I can't argue what they felt. I can try to understand it, and even in my not understanding it, their perception is their perception, just like my perception is my perception. You have to be able to control your emotions so that your emotions are not controlling you. When we allow our emotions to control us, that's when everything goes south.
Absolutely. Emotional maturation for sure. I think that's super important. So that's one of the things, if you are starting a business, if you are trying to reach these goals, having this certain level of emotional maturation to carry into this process with you. And I've had to learn that myself. And I've experienced it with other entrepreneurs, and it's just something that just dawned on me as I was listening. Like I said, I was over in Clubhouse eavesdropping, and I hear all these people, talking about starting businesses and everything. And one of the guys brought this up and how he had started this business and he had a chip on his shoulder, and the reason that he had gone into business was because he wanted to prove everyone wrong. And I think that is, I don't think that that's a good reason to go into business, because I think that it lends itself to this emotional immaturity where when you get into these very sticky situations, you're going to let that bubbling that's going on, that anger, that chip on your shoulder, that's going to bleed into everything else.
Yes.
So coming in with the mindset of, okay, I'm here to serve a certain person, or I'm here to, provide a product or whatever, is necessary. I think having that mindset, if you are going into the entrepreneur space, I think that that's important.
It's very important, because if you are a business owner and your mantra is, well, this is just how I am, how do you ever expect to grow? If you stay stuck in that same mindset, well, this is just me. So does that mean you're not going to grow with the times? Does that mean you're not going to shift the way you market to your target audience because you want to stay stuck in your ways, and your ways may be driving your business down? So you have to be very mindful of, your boundaries, professionally and personally, so that you make sure they are clear and you're communicating what they are. But just because you communicate a boundary assertively, that does not mean you have to be aggressive about making your boundaries clear when it comes to how you conduct your business.
Well said. I mean, listen, I can't say it any better. Be very clear. That was very eloquently said. And I just want to go back to those 3 things that Cortina shared earlier when we're processing our COVID trauma. Taking a 5-minute time out, I think that's so important every day.
Every day.
Every single day. I read a quote, and this is one that I absolutely love. If you can't sit 10 minutes without thinking about bills or anything else or whatever else is going on in the world, then your mind does not belong to you. Your mind belongs to the world.
Yes.
And I think that that's so profound and so very true. And it's important, especially as a business owner, when you're trying to reach goals, it's important to be able to recalibrate our minds, because we have over 180,000 thoughts every day. We have thousands and hundreds of thousands of thoughts every single day, all day long. It's like a computer network system.
It is. Yeah.
That computer network system, what do they call it, LAN or whatever it is, I don't know, it has to be shut down for troubleshooting.
One of the things you have to understand also is when we're so overwhelmed and our mind is trying to process so much information, you may experience something, but the way that it's encoded and stored in your memory network may be skewed or off because you have so much other stimuli happening in your brain. So when you come back to that situation, now you're afraid. You don't even know how you became afraid. You have to think about, when I first came across something like this that made me feel this way, what was happening in my life?
Oh, yes. That's an excellent point.
So I do EMDR therapy, and so that's eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And so basically what it is, we, through a series of taps and sounds, and vocal facilitation, we activate the memory networks in the memory bank so that we can uproot the negative associations that was paired with that memory, so we can pair it with something more adaptive. It's absolutely amazing.
I've heard it's very effective.
Very, extremely. Like, have a few rounds, you will come out a believer. I've seen individuals in my office go from hysterical crying, like everything that's coming up is negative, it's negative, it's negative, but you got to view it as stuff just getting off the train so you can put better associations onto the train. And it indicated for trauma. But it can help with depression, anxiety, any garden variety issue that someone may be experiencing. But EMDR is extremely great if you have trauma, even trauma you don't even know that you have. It's very beneficial.
EMDR. So family, make sure you look that up and seek out a licensed therapist to help guide you through that process. I love it. And I've heard it's extremely effective.
It is.
And it works.
It is.
Okay, beautiful. So take that 5-minute timeout. Number 2, you said do some grounding work, and I just want to elaborate on that because that's so important. And again, I think that's this work that that looks foreign to people. Like, it's what you mean grounding work? What is grounding work? And so what that means is we experience the world through our 5 senses.
Yes.
So that's essentially just tapping into your 5 senses to bring you back to this present moment in time right now, because our traumas will have this unique ability to make us think and believe that we are back in that situation that we were in right at that time. And so incorporating your 5 senses is what is referred to as grounding. And some of the and as Cortina said earlier, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Some of the things that I like to do is being out in nature, being barefoot, putting my feet on the grass, doing yoga, barefoot in the grass, and taking baths is even one. Lighting candles and incense and smudging with sage.
Or Florida water.
Yes, honey. You got to keep the Florida water in the purse, baby. Right. Yes, honey. Yeah. Florida water. Get you some Florida water. Yes. So those are different types of grounding activities. And then lastly, pay attention to your breath.
Yes.
And that's such a little simple one that you can do at work or wherever you are. If you're in the grocery store line, if you're, you can do this kind of breath work. One of the ones that I really like to do is like a 5 second, like an inhale, hold, and exhale.
Yes.
Can you explain that for the listeners?
Yes. So when you are breathing in, and I like to pair it with guided meditation, my voice when I'm doing it with my patients. As you're breathing in, see and envision yourself breathing in everything positive: love, light, tranquility, peace, balance, wholeness, wellness, all of those things. So when you're breathing in for 5, I'm breathing in everything positive. And then when I hold, and then when I let go, I am breathing out toxic energy, negativity, negative thoughts, negative narratives, hate, bitterness, anger, rage, resentment. I'm breathing out all of those toxins that affect my energy force. And so I'm breathing in positivity, holding, breathing out negative energy. And even because when you're upset, you're not paying attention to your breath. And so you may begin to breathe very shallow. If you are upset and you intentionally make the decision to, let me do me some deep breaths, and true deep breaths, you would actually be amazed at how you can calm down. You may not be at a 10 anymore. You may be at an 8, but an 8 is better than 10. And so looking at that.
Love it, love it, love it. And I love that. And when Cortina mentioned breathing out the love, the hate, the envy, the sadness, the bitterness, you can, if you don't have anyone to guide you, you can just say those in your mind as you exhale. And you can say those positive things in your mind as you inhale. Yes. And that's how you do that. That's beautiful. And so I can never believe when we are like almost at the end. I really need a whole nother hour, Captain Darryl.
Start earlier. 11 o'clock.
Captain Darryl said start earlier.
We'll talk about it.
So to wrap up, can you share with everybody just briefly, how and in layman's terms, so that the average person can understand, how will this help you reach your goals? Doing this kind of work, how does this help you to execute your New Year's goals, your resolutions, your financial goals that you have? How does this stuff help?
So I like to call, because, well, most people, they make resolutions, but we know most people don't stick to their resolutions.
Right.
So I call them intentionality statements, because if my intentions are to do X, Y, and Z, I know that my walk is going to reflect my intentionality about completing the statement that I came up with. So when you're doing that, when you're allowing yourself to take those breaks, when you are giving yourself grace, when you are being patient with your process, it helps you stay focused and not pressured, so you can achieve the intentionality statements or resolutions or goals that you have, because you're focused and you keep your head stayed on whatever it is that you want to see happen. It is my intention that I want to do X, Y, and Z. But I'm flexible enough to give myself grace that if it's not going the way that I think it should go, guess what? I can always detour and still get to the same destination.
I love that. Did y'all hear that, family? I mean, I'm just loving having you right. I don't even know what to say, but you have been amazing.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
this was wonderful. You gave such great insight and information, just shedding light on things in a very practical way.
Yes.
And I think that that's important in this space, because it's such a abstract
Yes.
thing. I talk all the time
It
about
is.
how these are unseen wounds. This
Mhm.
is not like a wound you have on your arm that you can put peroxide and
Right.
Neosporin on. This is stuff that you can't see. Very abstract, very obscure, and so putting it or delivering the information in a very relatable way, I think there's a lot of value in that, and you've done that very well today.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you. You are so welcome. So tell everybody where they can find you and your daughter.
You can find my daughter at Writer's Block for Teens, and it's the number 4. So Writer's Block for Teens on Instagram, and you can find me on all social media platforms at The Girlfriend Therapist. So if you just add me at The Girlfriend Therapist, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, I am licensed in Florida and Georgia.
Family, thank you all for tuning in. I love y'all. We will be back next week. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I am Ivory Shields. And we will see y'all back next Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Healing for the Culture with yours truly on atltalks.com. Peace and abundance, family.